My name's Jacob Vernick. I'm a sales engineer here at New Blue, and welcome to Discover Captivate, a brand new webinar series from New Blue. We will be getting started shortly. So we will be kicking off this Discover Captivate webinar. Thank you so much to all of you guys for joining. My name is Jacob Vernick. I am a sales engineer here at New Blue, and I am going to be walking you through some of the basics today of New Blue Captivate. So if you've been here before, welcome back. If you haven't, it's great to have you along the ride for the first time. We're going to be trying something a little bit different today. So we'd love your feedback as you guys go. We're going to be building out a little bit more of a project than we usually do, trying to highlight more of the core concepts that you can use in your Captivate projects, maybe than the other webinars have. So I'm going to be diving in today. We're going to be focusing on a soccer project. So how to kind of conceptualize, build soccer graphics that you can use in any of your live streams. But all of the concepts I'm going to show you today work for corporate, they work for webinars, they work for news, they work for any of the sports, they work for basically anything. It's just picking up and applying the building blocks of what you've learned to the other elements. So if you are new to Captivate, Captivate is designed for producers who want flexibility without sacrificing design. So if you guys are coming to us as part of a studio team, or maybe you're working by yourselves, Captivate empowers you to stay agile and still deliver broadcast quality graphics that elevate your brand. So if you've been having challenges creating custom looks, updating graphics with new data quickly, or just haven't been able to figure out some of maybe the more complex pieces of graphic software on the market, you're in the right place. So we're going to dive a little bit into this soccer project, and we're going to talk about maybe some of the core elements that you would need in a soccer project, and then how to build them. Last but not least, this full project that we're walking through today, the one I'm going to show you right now, will be available as a sample project. So if you wanted to just download and take this project and start it and start from there, you will fully have the ability to do so. So I'm going to share my screen and we will dive into Captivate. So you can see me over here. I'm going to throw up some soccer video just to hide out my fake background right there. And we can talk through maybe a couple of the core elements of what you're going to need in a soccer production, right? First, obviously, a scoreboard. So by clicking over here on play, I'll open this up a little bit so we can see it a little bit better. I've got a scoreboard that gives me the score, the time, if there's any additional time. It can do things like yellow cards, red cards, all of the necessary information that you need for a soccer scoreboard. However, let's think pregame. Let's think about all the other visual elements that come in. This project has a head-to-head graphic, right? We've got the 2025 IBC Cup. Ian and I will be heading out to Amsterdam for the IBC International Broadcasters Convention in less than a week. So figured I'd keep it a little bit on brand. And you can update whatever teams are playing very quickly and easily just by uploading those files. We've got starting lineup graphics in here, right? So you can upload your own headshots, your own data. We're going to walk through exactly how I can create this graphic just by building out a spreadsheet, an Excel file, a CSV file, whatever I want that to be. Maybe it's halftime. Maybe it's halftime. You want to show some stats about today's game, right? We can have live updates of the score as the game is going on. We can have shots on goal, saves. If you are keeping track of your stats in something like Excel, or maybe you're using a StatGrew device, we can pull in the live data directly from those sources to update your graphics live. We have a couple other elements in here that we will be talking through. I have a picture-in-picture. So if I wanted to show myself here, maybe with a sequence of videos, this is an awesome way to be able to show commercials live, right? So if you wanted to maybe have the live feed, but also show your commercials, you can build out custom picture-in-pictures to do that. And then the last one I have here is maybe if we're going to a commercial break, right? We can update live with the score right here. And this, again, can be tied directly to the scoreboard tool so that as the score updates, the data in this graphic is going to update too. It's all tied to the same scoreboard tool. So you just, your scoreboard will update here, your graphics will update here, and you will be all set to go. So I'm going to open up a new project, talk through some of the core components of Captivate, and then we'll build out those elements. I did forget one piece over here. We also have some transition effects in here as well. So maybe if you're using something like an ATEM or you're using Captivate as your primary switcher, you can use those ins and outs to go to replay, wipe to different shots, whatever you're looking for. All
Uh,
right,
I wonder if Zoom has a little bit of something funky going on with chat, but for anybody who has question and answer or has any questions during this time, just pop it in the question and answer and I'll save it for after.
fantastic. Yeah, we will do a live Q&A at the end of this, as Naomi just said. I don't need to repeat that. So I'm going to open up a new project. I'm not going to save any of this, and let's get going. So I'm going to click up here for 1 second, just get us in. When you launch Captivate for the first time, feel free, if you've already purchased, to follow along. If not, free trials available on our website. Feel free to follow along as we go. This is what you're going to see when you open Captivate for the first time. We've got a bunch of different windows open here. One thing to note, Captivate is Mac and Windows friendly. So if you wanted to build your projects on your Mac at home and then bring them into your Windows computer in the control room, those are very cross-functional and you can do that with ease. A couple other things to highlight over here are panels, right? So we've got over here on the left-hand side, our project panel. This is where all of our graphics for our individual project are going to live. Our shot launcher, I'm going to talk about shots a little bit later. I'm going to X out of this right now. I don't need that for now. I've got a preview window right here. So this is where I can preview my graphics with their data before they go live. I can also make some adjustments to the size and shape and position of those graphics. Program monitor over here. So this is what will be currently live right now. And then down here, we have the all important, how am I sending my graphics out button. I'll get a little drop down there. I can either send out NDI, I can send out HDMI. If you're using a supported SDI card like a Blackmagic or an AJA card, you can send out SDI key and fill as well directly from Captivate. We have audio mixer, a video switcher, and properties down here. Properties, we're going to be updating some data in here a little bit later. And all of these panels, again, are up here. So if I close out of my shots window and I say, actually, I wanted that back, I can just click up here on that panel and that will open and close any of the panels that I may have accidentally opened or closed. Another thing to highlight here, if I come up to my settings and I go down to project, this is where I can define what my frame rate and resolution will be. So I'm using Captivate Broadcast today. That is our premium version of Captivate that has everything you could dream of, 16 channels out. It has our After Effects integration, SDI input, unlimited project graphics, unlimited graphics on screen at a given time. Captivate's Present and Sport have some other limitations like one channel of output and how many graphics in your project, things like that. But one of those limitations, Captivate Broadcast does go up to 4K 30, whereas Present and Sport only go up to 1080 60. So that, again, in your project settings can be updated right here. Again, if I'm using Captivate Broadcast or I've purchased the additional channels, I will be able to send out an additional channel right here as well. In sports, soccer is absolutely one of the places we see this a lot. We'll see a lot of people put the score bug on channel 1, and then we'll see all of the other graphics on channel 2, so they have individual keying ability in their switcher of the score bug on and off, whereas the other elements can all be played on a separate channel. So a couple of options now. We're going to start building out our projects, right? And the best way to do that, there's two ways to do that. One is going to be our library of graphics, and we're going to dive into our library. We're going to spend a little bit of time there today. Another option down here is add new item. So if I come down to add new item, I can add a couple of different things. I can add a title or graphic. That's going to allow me to create a graphic from scratch. So basically, maybe I built a PSD that I just know I want to import into Captivate. I can just start basically from scratch and then just import all my files. We'll get into that a little bit more later. As I mentioned earlier, again, After Effects compositions. Captivate Broadcast allows you to bring in AEP files. It allows you to bring in Mogert files directly into Captivate and then render them out live. So if you built a lower third in After Effects and you want, maybe you have 100 names in a spreadsheet of all the people who are going to be presenting at today's conference, you can build one graphic in After Effects, 100 names in the spreadsheet, Captivate is the link that links that together and lets you play out those graphics live with all of the individual names in there. Shot layouts and media sequences, I promise, we'll get to a little bit later. Transition effects right here. This is where you can add cross dissolves and all sorts of other fun different types of wipes here. You can bring live audio and video sources directly into Captivate. So maybe your camera, my FaceTime camera, my SDI camera, my USB, whatever this is. Same with audio. Some workflow stuff down here we're probably not going to talk too much about today. And then our import content. So if I wanted to bring an MP4, MOV, MP3, any sort of video, audio, image file directly into Captivate, I can do that right here as well. But today, as I said, we're going to start up here in our library. I'm going to back out here. Our library, depending on the version you get, has 500 to 1,000 graphics. It has everything from news to sports to game show to corporate, whatever you want. I am partial to some of these ones, the cuboid, the cubic. These are great ones for corporate, right? Cuboid and cubic are pretty similar. I love these colors, right? But again, 2 boxes, 4 boxes, polls, full screens, social graphics, chat, all the different necessary elements to produce any different type of production, and then immediately within the same kind of theme in a library as well. My personal favorite for sports is going to be our Flux Sports collection. So this one does not come with any version of Captivate. It is available as an add-on purchase, but it has some of my favorite graphics, including that starting lineup you guys saw earlier, some scoreboard stuff. But what I'm going to bring in today are going to be our soccer scoreboard. And then to bring in a graphic, I'm just going to drag and drop. If at any point I wanted to preview a graphic, like let's see how that leaderboard looks. I can hover right here over leaderboard and get a little preview of what it's going to look like in my preview window down there. Going to skip the leaderboard for now. I'm going to add my soccer starting lineup. And then I'm going to add my team versus team sport title. I'm not actually going to be using this. I'm just going to be using the background of this guy in a different graphic. So I'm just going to drag and drop that. You'll see right here that, these graphics, they are graphics at the end of the day. They take a little bit of time to render up and become available for you to use. So this wheel just says, hey, this graphic's still rendering. And when it's done, that means it is ready to be played out. That one has about 11, 12 images in it, but done rendering. And when I click on play, that graphic can now be played. Last thing I'm going to add is a picture-in-picture kind of source. So there's a bunch of different ways we can do this. I can come back out here. We have a whole library of them right here in our camera frames, right? So these all are designed for you to put live video into. Again, if I hover over it, I'll get a little preview of what it looks like. None of these are exactly what I'm looking for, right? I'm actually going to go into our news, and I'm going to show you how maybe we can start to repurpose some things that already exist and use them in the way that I want to use them. So I'm going to just drag and drop this one in here. Again, these are all the elements I'm going to be using today, but we'll take it one at a time, and we'll learn as we go. So these are all my graphics in my project panel right over here. Let's focus on my scoreboard for a second. As you saw earlier, to get my scoreboard on, I click on play right there. To get my scoreboard off, I click on play again. I can map this scoreboard or any of my graphics to a hotkey by double clicking in this little hotkey column and saying, maybe I want it to be 1 on my keyboard. Now, every time I hit 1 on my keyboard, it will play the graphic on. Every time I hit 1 on my keyboard, it will play the graphic off. By default, all graphics in Captivate do not have a fixed duration. They will stay on until you tell them to go off. If you prefer them to have a fixed duration, you can define that in the duration field right here. So I can say I want this to be 5 seconds, hit enter, and now when I hit 1, this graphic will stay on for 5 seconds and automatically play off. Probably not something you're doing with a scoreboard, but maybe your starting lineup, maybe your head-to-head types of graphics, you will be doing that for. To get it back to an infinite, play on, play off kind of graphic, you just set it to 0, and now you're all set. So I've got my graphic right here. There are a couple of things I can do to it. In this properties panel, I have the ability to update the data of this graphic. So if I wanted to maybe change the visitor team to new blue, I can come down here and type in new blue, and it's going to update that live. That is what the live values tab is supposed to do. However, I wouldn't say it's necessarily feasible for you to be typing in the clock every second it updates, right? So the live values tab is great to be able to just make quick on the fly adjustments. Maybe something in a spreadsheet was misspelled. Maybe something else needs to be updated. Maybe you only have 2 names of a lower third. You just want to be able to type them in and go. You don't want to worry about anything else. That's exactly what the live values tab is for. I can also come over to our values grid. Values grid, probably not something I'm going to use for the scoreboard, but maybe for this team versus team title, I could use it for. Basically, the idea here is that I am building a spreadsheet within Captivate. Rather than maybe building a CSV elsewhere, I can just come in here and say, actually, I want, a different semifinal. I want this to be 2 separate teams and start building out rows that I can choose which one to play, right? Just to give you an example, maybe I made this new blue. I made the visitor team, my initials, game at 9 p.m., right? And now when I toggle between them, I will see the different elements of my graphic right here in the values grid. So that's what the values grid is going to give me the ability to do. You can see right there, that'll play on. Double click down here, that'll play on, right? So if I have multiple games, I can use the values grid to build out all of the different options of what will be happening today. Again, maybe not the best way to do. A lot of people will use this, maybe not for, again, scoreboard graphics, but for lower thirds, for full screens, the values grid is super powerful. I'm going to come back here to my scoreboard tool, though, and we're going to talk about the different options available to you. The key to Captivate, the one thing I'd want you to leave today with is the idea that your graphics are data driven, right? That means that you can tie some source to these graphics to update automatically. So if I come to these graphics over here, soccer scoreboard, I can click on add source, and now I can connect a bunch of different things that can power my scoreboard. So if I come over here to sports, you can see all of the different options that we have available. Right off the bat, a hardware scoreboard. So if you guys are working with any Daktronics All Sport 5000 or anything like a Daktronics CG unit, Fairplay, OES, Tissot, Varsity, and Whiteway, all of those are available in here. Same with JSON. We have a leaderboard. This can pull in an XML, a CSV, NewTek Data Link, Scoreboard, right? These are great partners of ours who take the data from a scoreboard, send it over the network directly to us so that we can put that data right into the scoreboard. Sportscast, all these different options. But maybe you don't have the luxury of being able to pull in live data. Maybe you need a way to be able to do it yourself. That's what Captivate's scoreboard tool offers. So we have this available natively in Captivate Broadcast and Captivate Sport for baseball, basketball, football, hockey, lacrosse, soccer, and volleyball. Today, of course, I want to use soccer. Going to reset this just to start things fresh. And a lot of these things are going to update automatically. And the reason that is because the variable names are going to match the graphic. What does that mean? That sounds like a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo. That means the information that we've provided down here is going to match up to the information that we have up here. So I can change different elements of this to tie it to the specific data. So if I am looking at all of these elements, okay, maybe some of these things are looking right, but actually I don't want to use the full home team name. I want to use the away team. I want to use the home team short variable, right? You can see right here, we have a couple different options, home team and home team short. Well, maybe for the full screen graphic, I want to use home team, but for the scoreboard graphic, I want to use home team short. So one option to do this is by dragging and dropping. So I could click on home team and map it directly to where I want to do it. I prefer just a little bit more of a reliable way to do it than dragging and dropping. So I'm going to go now into the title designer. The title designer is where each element of your graphic becomes fully editable, right? That just means that if you are like, actually, I want to use a different font. This is where you can change the fonts. This is where you can update the shapes, add shapes, remove shapes. This is where you can customize the graphic to be exactly what you want, including things like file import, PNG files, JPEG files, video files, all the necessary elements that you need to build a custom graphic. The title designer also has a full library of transitions and animations. So rather than needing to manually keyframe everything, you can just come into Captivate and say, actually, I want it to drop from the sky. And when you hover over it, you can now see that way that the period is bouncing in. To add that transition, you just drag and drop it onto the layer. And now you have that animation that you might have spent, maybe an extra 10 minutes keyframing. So back to the reason we're in here. That's going to be updating the variable names. I accidentally closed out of that window, so I'm going to go up to View Properties. And where did that open up? Right there. Fantastic. I'm just going to change a couple of things, right? you can see all of the different layers in here. Visitor goal, that's going to be the yellow background. That's going to be the yellow text. If I didn't want that yellow background at all, I can just delete it. I can just come up here, click on it, backspace, and it's gone. Command Z to bring it back. But when I come over here to visitor team, it is hidden because it's being hidden by this goal alert right here. So I can hide those layers that I don't want to see right now by clicking on the little eyeball right there. I'm going to come over here to visitor team, and I'm going to say, actually, instead of being mapped to visitor team, I'm going to come down to this field called text variable. This is where you tell Captivate, I want this piece of data to be mapped to this part of the graphic. So I'm going to say for this visitor team layer, instead of visitor team, I actually want it to be visitor team short. So I'm going to scroll down, find visitor team short, and do that. Same thing with home team. I'm going to come over here, go to home team short. And now it's going to map the fields that I want directly to my graphic. So if I come over here to visitor, we're gonna have a game between Arsenal and Manchester United today. So I'll type in ARS, type in MU down here. All right, now my graphic's getting a little bit closer. What about a logo, right? I can browse my local machine and just bring up the logo that I want to use. So I can come into my sports folder, soccer. I've got my Arsenal graphic right here. And now I've got Arsenal. So as you have a new game day, rather than needing to build everything from scratch, you're just coming in and taking the images I assume you already have, uploading them, putting them exactly where they need to go, right? I'm going to also maybe update the colors. So I can come into here, double click on the color picker, and now I can do it as RGB. I can do it as the percentages, or I can just add in a hex value, right? So it's going to be, let's see here, EF0107 for a little bit of Arsenal red, and then for a little bit of Manchester United, where's the, oh, just make this a little bit bigger. There we go. This is going to be FBE 122, a little bit of yellow. And now we've got a scoreboard, right? And this is already connected, so I can start my game clock, and my game clock starts going. I can say Manchester United just scored. I can click on goal right there and get my goal up. I can go to Arsenal right here, say they scored, trigger a goal, right? I have the ability to now just drive the entire update, the entire action of the game by using this scoreboard tool. Yellow cards, red cards, period, OT, additional time, all the way down the line. Last thing to highlight, this doesn't have to be done by the same operator as your graphics operator. I can also click right here on open in browser, and then I can either show a QR code so that somebody can scan this and then take it off and run it on their own machine, or I can just click on open in local browser, and it's going to give me this window right here to open and operate the scoreboard tool. A user needs to be on the same network to be able to do that, but that is a way that you can kick it out to somebody sitting on the sideline with an iPad and be all set to go. That's our scoreboard tool. Let's talk a little bit about our starting lineup graphic. Now, there's a little bit more going on here, right? There's a lot of headshots, there's a lot of images, there's a lot of positions, uniform numbers. So what did I do? I built this into an Excel sheet, right? So if I come over here to my Excel sheet, I'll pull this over so you guys can see what I'm doing. I've got my soccer roster right here. And the way I split this up is I've got my first name, I've got my last name, I've got my uni, my position, and my image. You can see right here, the image is just the file path to where that image lives. This would be the same if you had a URL that ended in, like .png, .jpeg, you could just put that image in there, that URL, and it will pull from the URL as well. Again, assuming an internet connection. But I've got all of my players' names right here. So rather than needing to, now I have the graphic and I have this, all that's left is for me to link it up. And the way I can link it up is by using, again, a data controller. This time I'm going to use our roster data controller. So I'm going to go to sports, and because this is a roster, I'm going to use roster. Click on new input right here, select file, and I'm going to do the soccer roster. You can see I have multiple tabs in this spreadsheet. It's going to ask me which tab do I want to use. I want to use this soccer roster tab right here. Click on OK. And now, look at that. How did that happen? How did it link up automatically? Well, in Captivate, I told it, I knew what the different elements were called, right? So if I go to edit right here, I'm going to go into this graphic. We're going to look a little bit closer at what makes this graphic up. So what makes this graphic up is a bunch of different groups, right? So it makes a lot of sense when you think about a group. You can group together an image, a text, a box, so that it all moves as one, rather than needing to do each individual element. To create a group, you just command click all the different sources you want. So for instance, the soccer field and the texture. You control click on one of them, and now you've got the option to group. So I've got all of my different groups right here. I'm going to go to athlete 1. If I click on this drop down right here, I'll see what that group is composed of. So I can see right here, this group is composed of first name 1, last name 1, segment 1, position, uni. And if I click on first name 1 and I come back here, we were over here earlier when we were setting up that home team short. I can see right here that this field is called first name, right? That is what I need to name my Excel file for it to automatically link. So Captivate is saying, hey, what's the variable name that I'm using right here? What's the update name? If it matches the column header of your Excel sheet, like mine does right here, oh, I can't pull it in front of it, but pulling it behind it, then it's going to automatically link. If things don't automatically link, that's what I showed you earlier with the home team short, home team long. You can just come in and drag them. For instance, you can see right here, image 7, for whatever reason, didn't link automatically. I can come down here and voila, you can see right here, it's not bolded, which means it's confirmation that this isn't actually linked to anything. So I can either go back into the title designer and link it, or I can come right here, drag and drop it right onto image 7, and there we go, image 7. Same thing with position 7. Come take position 7, drag and drop it, put it on that little blue guy right there, and now his position is updated. If I wanted to create another roster graphic for the other team, I could create another spreadsheet and another graphic. I could hook up multiple spreadsheets to this graphic. It's however you want to do it. But now I've got a single graphic already created with all of my players' headshots in there. So that's a starting lineup graphic right there. That's how you can tie it to an Excel sheet. I hope that makes sense. I hope we're not taking things too fast here, trying to cover a lot of concepts in this one. Last concept we're going to talk about today is going to be a picture-in-picture, right? So something I see a ton of in sports is ad on the left in a big box, live stream on the right in a small box, right? How do I build out that picture-in-picture in Captivate? It's not too hard. Something I really like doing in Captivate is taking elements of the graphics that I like and repurposing them, using them in different ways. So what do I mean by that? I want this team versus team graphic right here. I want to take this, but I only really want the background of it to be the background of my pip, right? Because if I have my pip right here, what good is it if it doesn't have any background? It's just black in the background. That doesn't look good at all. I need something back there, right? So I want to use this background. So I'm going to go into my title designer again by clicking on edit in my project panel. And I'm just going to delete all these elements that I don't need. From my title, I'm going to highlight these just by kind of, clicking, dragging, coming over here, getting my subtitle, control, delete objects. Goodbye. Visitor logo background. Goodbye. All right. Now we're pretty close. I want to update the colors, though. I want them to be the colors of that Manchester United and Arsenal, right? So I'm going to click on play right here. And then I'm just going to quickly grab, the home color. It's going to be that yellow. The visitor color, again, just clicking on the eyedropper, clicking on what I want it to be. And then the gradient, right? I double click on that, gives me this window. I want the top one, eyedropper, to be this. And I want the bottom one to be eyedropper this. All right, not bad. Feels very temperature hot, but it's pretty close to a background that I would use in my production. Play it on. Yeah, looking good. Now I want to build out that pip, right? So I've got my boxes right here. I've already got a 2-box built, but this isn't like the format I want it to be. I want 1 box over here on the left, 1 box down here on the right. So let's go back into the title designer by clicking on edit and by clicking on my different boxes. So let's understand what we're looking at. We have 4 boxes here. We've got video, video 1, video 2, rectangle 1, rectangle 2. So if I click on both of these at the same time, you can see right here, it's going to move this box as I want it to. So we've got box 1, which has video, box 2, which is a rectangle. So when we were back out on that page, how did Captivate know that you wanted to put live video within that little box? The answer is that we made it a live video variable. So if I come over here to this video 2 layer, and I'm in my properties window, I go over here to motion and data, you can see right here that the live video variable is checked. That just means that this layer right here, this triangle, this circle, this square, rectangle, whatever it is, I want to map live video directly to that box. That's already set up for us. That's awesome. If I ever wanted to do it again, I would just add a shape and click on that live video variable. And now Captivate will expect live video to be in that box. What I'm going to do to create more of that pip that we saw in the beginning is highlight both of this video and this rectangle. I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. I'm going to move it down here a little bit and make it a little bit more, 16 by 9. Put it right about there. I'm going to do the same thing over here. This is pretty close to good. I might just move it up a little bit right there. And that looks good. If I wanted to get a little bit more precise, I can turn on things like the grids to be able to track it, make sure my lines all look good. I can do different sorts of alignments to make sure that their lefts or rights are aligned. But this is pretty close to what I am looking for. So to save it, I'm going to click right here on this checkbox. All right, now we're getting closer, right? But what I really want to do is I want to take a commercial break. I want to put that commercial break in the big box, and then I want to put a live video source in the bottom right-hand box. So how am I going to do that? Let's build out our media sequence. That's what we call it in Captivate. You can think of it as a playlist of videos, however you want to think of it. I'm going to come down here to add new item and go to media sequence. So this media sequencer comes included with Captivate Broadcast or is available as an add-on to Captivate Present and Sport. And I'm just going to select the commercial break videos that I want to use. So I'm going to click on plus right here, and let's find my videos. All right, my burger commercial, my car commercial, all the different sponsors of my local soccer game right here. And now I've got a playlist. Bunch of options down here. Do you want it to repeat? Should it play? What order should it play in? Start from the beginning, resume from last position. All those options available to you. However, if you recall, when we were building out those boxes, we told Captivate that we were expecting live video in that box. What we have here, though, is post, right? It's a video on demand. It is just an uploaded MP4. So we need to make this live video. The way we can do that is our properties panel right here with media properties. Select live video source right here. And now Captivate's like, all right, this is a live video source. Now I can map it to my box. So let's go back to that picture I created right here. And we're going to say video 1, I want this to be my Mac. Oh, no, I don't. I want video 1 to actually be my sequence. So I'm going to click down on that drop down, go to media clip right here, and sequence. That's the same name that it has over there in my project panel. Sequences to camera box 1. Going to go to my camera 2, make it this camera I got right here. And then going to click on play. And all right, we're most of the way there, but we want that background in there too. How do we get that background to play at the same time as that graphic? So rather than needing to click on them both individually, we can group them into what we call a shot. So we can say, I want one button that is automatically going to trigger both of these graphics. How can I do that? I'm going to click right here on this graphic, click right here on this graphic by command clicking on both of them. And then I'm going to come down here to group into a shot. Now I've got a new shot that I can rename my pip with background. And when I play it, I've got exactly what I was trying to build, right? A background with a camera in the bottom right-hand corner and the program out, and the media sequence in the top left. So if you were doing things like you wanted to send us your ATEM program feed and put that in the bottom right-hand corner while you you build out custom pictures using a media sequence in the big box, all of that is possible with Captivate. So hopefully giving you some tools to dream big and showing you how you can kind of repurpose all the elements that we have already given for you so that you don't have to build things from scratch and can use this platform to its fullest extent. So that's everything I wanted to cover today. I'll pop over. We've got one thing in the chat right here. We got a link to the grade. If there are any questions, open to them now. Feel free to put them in the chat, the Q&A, wherever you want to put them. And if not, it was great talking to all of you and happy to, continue this offline if you want to reach out. Thanks so much, everyone.